Hello everyone.
So for almost 2 years now, this thing has been misfiring or failing to fire on a very intermittent basis. I'll be mowing along and then all of a sudden it seems like one cylinder dies and I'm running on one cylinder. And the exhaust is very rich, it's very black and it smells like gas. You can tell it's unburned gas.
So I know it's missing. It's misfiring or not firing. The other day it got into the same thing and it wouldn't even cut through this grass, it's so tall. It was running on one cylinder. It just wouldn't make enough power to mow the lawn. This lawn is very deep right now because we've had nothing but wet weather. It's been too wet to mow. And now I've got to struggle and fight through all this deep grass. So I need the power of this engine running on both cylinders. So I finally decided to tear into it and see what's going on. And I'll bring you along and show you what I do. So I've had an intermittent problem with this tractor where it starts missing and it seems like it's running on just one cylinder, and that's what I demonstrated when I was driving it up here. It was running on one cylinder. So I like to use the inductive pickup on my timing light. I'll just put that on each spark plug wire one at a time, and that'll show me if I have spark there or not. If there's no spark, the light's not going to be strobing. So let me do this. Not sure why it shut down there. The time has come because it has cut out completely now. So I'm going to use the inductive pickup on the timing light to detect whether or not I have spark on both of these cylinders.
This coil is dead. It doesn't spark at all. And that was confirmed by the timing light. So I ordered some new coils and they've arrived, so I'm going to replace them now. So another telltale sign before you even hook up a timing light or pull the cable and see if you can see a spark jumping. I mean, you can pull the cable and see if the spark jumps the gap to ground. That's one way to do it. I like using the inductive pickup because then I'm not risking myself getting a shock. So another thing you can look at here is the fact that the spark plug is wet. So that tells you it's getting fuel, but it's just not sparking. So to remove this engine cover, there's two screws here with what are they, 10mm head that hold the fuel pump on. They hold it to the front of the cover here. And you can just remove those and just let the pump hang out there, doesn't matter. And there's 4 screws in the cover. There's one on each side here, and one over here, and one down there, and I'll show you a better shot of that. But these are, you just back them out like that, maybe a 1/4 inch, and they have a 5/16 head, hex head. So we'll just back those 4 out like a 1/4 inch. You don't need to remove them because these holes aren't holes, they're slots. They're slotted. And then these are a little more difficult to get to over here. Then the last 2 are behind here. There's one here. And one there, right here. So I discovered that even though these are 5/16, I mean, you can get a 5/16 wrench in there, of course, but I found out my gear wrench, ratcheting wrench here, 8mm works on it. So that makes it a whole lot easier to get in there and loosen that up. Again, these 4 screws only need to be backed out like a 1/4 inch. And I'll get the other side here now. Then there's 3 more here. 1, 2, 3. They need to come out. So I've got those 4 loose on the side here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these 3 are removed. And the 2 holding the fuel pump are removed. So this should just lift right off of here now. No problem. So I know that this coil isn't putting anything out, so I'm going to start by replacing just this one, and we'll see how much better it runs, and we'll be able to see it putting out a spark on the timing light. So there's just 2 screws that hold it down here, and the spark plug wire, and that's it. There's the body of the coil. So here's the new coil. I noticed that one difference is that this lead up here that this white wire plugs into is on the top, just like it was on the original one here. But the spark plug wire comes out the bottom, and the original ones, it comes out on the top. Supposedly this is going to work on this machine. So we'll find out together. And that's not probably a significant difference. You start out by putting these two screws back in that hold it in place. And then you need to set the gap, and the gap is between this magnetized surface here. See that? That's a magnet. This magnet right here. You need a gap between that and the surface of this coil where it interfaces with the flywheel. So I'm just going to use a matchbook cover to set the gap. So I don't know what the actual spec is for that gap, but I've used a matchbook cover to do this my whole life and it works. This says it's about 12 thousandths thick. It actually might be a little thin for what we need, but I think it's going to work fine. So you need to pull that, pull the coil away from the magnets, slip the matchbook in between there. You're trying to set the gap between the magnetic surface and the coil. It's pretty basic stuff. Make sure that it's inserted all the way between there. It is. And then snug the coil down. Right now the coil's pulled tightly against the matchbook by the magnets. Make that nice and snug. You don't want it to come loose and start hitting the flywheel. That would be bad. Make it nice and snug. And then this wire plugs onto this tab here. Whether it wants to or not. There it goes. Okay, let's start it up and see how it sounds. We'll also use the timing light to see if we have a spark. Okay, that spark looks a lot better on that one. Before I had no spark, now it seems pretty consistent. So now I'm going to go ahead and change the other one. So both of these slip-on tab connectors are pretty loose. Just going to see if I can squeeze it a little tighter here. That's better. At least now it feels like it's in contact. There's a gap right here where it drops down under the cover. So I guess that'll be okay. Like that. Well, let's fire it up and see how it sounds with the two new coils on it now. Okay, sounds good. It's time to put the cover back on the engine and see how she mows. Okay, now that the coils are replaced, I'm going to start mowing this deep grass and we'll see how well it does. I'm sure now it'll have plenty of power to get through this grass. So I'm really not satisfied yet with how this thing is running. It's not smooth enough. At high RPM, it's still sputtering at full throttle. And I'll show you what it's like when I try to start it. This is a cold start. See how it kicks back like that? The flywheel bolt head is 13 millimeters, and I'm using a screwdriver to wedge into the flywheel teeth there to stop it from spinning while I loosen this. That was simple. So I'm just checking to see if that key is sheared. And you can see here, you can see right there that it clearly isn't. The flywheel is in time with the crank just like it's supposed to be. So that's not the problem. I'm going to try this old coil again. This time I snugged the coil down before I put the magnet in front of it. That makes it a lot easier to put your shim in. Loosen it up, it gets pulled in against the matchbook cover. Okay, I swapped the other coil on. Let's see how that sounds. That honestly sounds a lot better, which leads me to believe these Chineseum coils I got are garbage. Gonna have to try again with some other coils. But putting that old coil on there was a great improvement. So I might actually be able to do some mowing today. So these look just a little bit different than the originals on the tractor, but they are the correct Kohler part number. Okay, so the brand new original equipment Kohler coils are on there now. So let's see how that sounds when I fire it up. So it's still not perfect. It's running really good compared to what it was originally. But it's pretty good for now. It's pretty good now. I'm going to do some mowing and see how much power it has. So as you can see, the grass here is very deep, and I need all the power I can get out of this tractor to mow it. The reason it's so deep is because we've had tons of rain, and this clay, once it gets saturated, it stays soft for weeks at a time. So I haven't been able to mow. You come down here, it's like driving through a swamp. Some of this is firmed up enough now where I can mow it, but I ran into a problem. The engine was missing. It's been intermittently missing on and off now for a while. But I managed to fix that. But here's the first test mowing with my new ignition coils. She went through all that tall grass at full throttle and didn't miss a beat, and the idle's nice and smooth. It's as smooth as it's ever been. So I'm satisfied this is a good repair. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. Please take a moment to like and subscribe.